Hi guys, it is Dr. Cody Dukes and we are back again for another video. Now you already know what it is. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up and ring that bell, subscribe and like the video as it'll help me get seen more in the algorithm. I'm dropping 5 videos a week, that is one every weekday. I do motivational, inspirational content with a pop culture twist, looking at things like movies and sports, anime, superheroes, you name it. I try to find the motivational aspect of it and then present it in a way that you can understand it and then implement it into your lives just so you can be great. So if that sounds like something that you're interested in, this is the channel for you. Go ahead and subscribe. Now with that out of the way, I want to reflect back to childhood, because when I was a child, unlike a lot of the kids today, we played outside. We had to play outside. Like, there were some people who had video games, but everybody didn't have video games. I mean, we had video games, but everybody didn't have video games. And so you had to know how to play outside, find friends, meet people you didn't know. Like, you knew your neighbors, you know what I mean? You knew the people that lived down the street because you had to. That was the only way you were going to have fun. And when I was growing up, if you was outside, you was probably playing football, hide and go seek, maybe basketball if you had a goal, maybe kickball, something. You was gonna play something. But we like to play football in the street, two-hand touch, stuff like that. If you was really, really adventurous, you might even play tackle in the street. But different times, the kids these days, I don't know if they survive tackle in the streets. But we were in different times. But when we were playing football, the last thing that you wanted to have happen to you? The last thing you wanted to have happen to you is that somebody would moss on you. Getting mossed on is when the ball is thrown up and someone jumps up over you to make the catch. It's highly unfavorable. It's akin to getting dunked on in basketball. It's not fun, and people ain't gonna let you forget it. And the thing about getting mossed on, it's a term that comes from the NFL player Randy Moss. Now, Randy Moss is pretty much widely accepted as one of the best wide receivers to ever play football. Some people would argue that he's the best. Then, of course, there's the Jerry Rice crew that would argue against it. Whichever way you sit on the side of that fence, and maybe some other players whose name can be thrown in the hat, you have to admit that Randy Moss is one of the greatest players the NFL has ever seen, one of the best receivers the NFL has ever seen. You're talking about a guy who literally the moment he stepped on the football field, he was double teamed. If he was on your team, he got 2 defensive backs thrown at him. That's how good he was. And he was very adept at making jump ball catches. He was very adept at the wide out play, the deep ball plays, the just run past the defensive back and be wide open for the deep ball. He did it in Minnesota. And after he left Minnesota, the Vikings, he was that's where he built his name up as being the best receiver in football at the time. He built up his name in Minnesota, but then he leaves Minnesota and he ends up on the Oakland Raiders. Now, of course, it's not the Oakland Raiders anymore, but at the time it was the Oakland Raiders. And the thing about the Oakland Raiders is that just wasn't a good situation for Randy Moss. It's the best way I can put it. At the time, the Oakland Raiders were a struggling franchise. They weren't good at the time. They had not been good for a while. They didn't have a good team around them. They didn't seem to work well. They didn't seem to mesh. And so Randy Moss was all but forgotten in Oakland. Like, it's hard to explain it, but it's like one day he's the #1 receiver in the NFL, and the next day it's like nobody even, cares, right? Nobody cares until randomly you see a news ticker go across the bottom of your screen that the New England Patriots, probably at the time, and it even got worse as time went on, but at the time, you're talking about the standard for franchises in the NFL at the time. Like, this was the best franchise over like a good period of time. Like, at this point, probably for like a decade, this has been one of the best, if not the best franchise in football. They had won, at this point, maybe 2 or 3 Super Bowls within like a 5 or 6, 7 year span. I can't remember. But they had won a lot. They were really good. They would run really well. They were coached really well by Bill Belichick. Great ownership. And then you can't forget that they had the man who would become what many accept as the GOAT of football in Tom Brady. And they had all of this, and then you see this ticker go across your screen that the New England Patriots have acquired Randy Moss from the Oakland Raiders. Get this, guys, for a 4th round pick. Now you're talking about a guy who maybe 3-4 years ago was widely accepted as being the best receiver in football. And he was given to the best franchise, who had the best coach, arguably the best ownership, with the player who would become the best player to ever play football. He was given to them for a 4th round pick. Now, I don't know how the best I can explain this, because you can find a gem anywhere in the draft, right? You can find a player in the 6th round, like Tom Brady was found. In the 6th round, I believe, I think Tom Brady was drafted in the 6th round, but you can find a player in the 6th round and he goes on to be a Hall of Famer. But the expectation or the level of investment of a team into a player that's drafted in the 4th round versus the 1st round is like day and night, right? So in his Minnesota days, you would have had to have given probably a top 5 draft pick just to have the conversation about getting Randy Moss from the Minnesota Vikings, because that's how valuable he was. But now, because he's been in Oakland and he's been so devalued, and the perception of what he's worth had diminished so much that now the Oakland Raiders said he's not even worth a player who we don't even know if he'll ever even play a snap for us. You get a 4th round draft pick, they may never even touch the field in a real game, in meaningful minutes. They may never even touch the field. And they said that's what Randy Moss is worth. And the reason this is so relevant to today is because there are so many people who have so much potential for greatness, so much potential for financial success, personal success, community success, family and relationship success, like so much potential to be extraordinary and live an extraordinary life. And somebody has told them that they're worth a 4th round pick. Somebody has told them that their value is not what it really is. Somebody has told them that you are not as good as you think you are. In fact, you're not even as good as you used to be. And what's crazy is that if you're not mentally strong enough, when they tell you that, you might start to believe it, right? You might start to really think, wow, they right, ain't nothing about me great for real. Like, ain't nothing about me special. Like, I can't think of one thing that I do better than everybody else. I don't have a superpower. You know, people ask that question, what's your superpower? I don't have a superpower. Like, you start to believe it. And if you start to believe it, you as good as done. Like, you know, there are like players like who get hurt in sports who their body can be 100% healed, but if they don't ever psychologically get back to the place to where they believe in the extremity that was hurt, they'll never play the same way again, even though their body is just as good and just as strong as it was before. So you got to be careful. You got to be careful about accepting other people's perspective about your value and your potential for greatness. Oakland looked at Randy Moss and said, man, you ain't worth nothing but a 4th round pick. And if I'm Randy, you know what? I'm not going to say if I'm Randy Moss, but if the average person, because we ain't not an extraordinary person, not a great person, not a successful person, but if an average person hears that their boss just told them that you ain't worth nothing but a 4th round pick. In fact, we'll be happy to trade you for a 4th round pick because you ain't giving us no value. The average person would be like, dang. It would mess them up. But now Randy Moss said, word? Shoot, my bag's been packed for months. I've been waiting for this call. Let me get over here to New England. I'm gonna show y'all what I really could have done had y'all treated me right. Had y'all put the right team around me. Like we can't ignore the value of the people that surround you, the people you work with, the people you're trying to build with. Like we can't ignore the value of that. Because the moment Randy Moss gets into the right situation with the right people around him, the right leadership, the right partners, you know what Randy Moss did that season? You know, like I can't give you the exact numbers, but I know he went out and set records for receiving. I want to say he set the records for receiving touchdowns in the year with 23. He might have set the record for receiving yards in the year. I don't remember that. But he went out and set the record for receiving touchdowns in the year by receiving. I think it still stands at 23. Not to mention, they went undefeated in the regular season. They blew out literally every team they played except for one. That was the New York Giants in the last game of the season. And then they went through the playoffs, beat everybody, and lost to the New York Giants, the one team that they did not blow out the entire season. This dude, Randy Moss, went right back to being the best receiver in football after somebody told him he wasn't good enough. After somebody told him he was worth the 4th round pick, he said, I'm going to show you. And a lot of y'all, people will tell y'all how y'all ain't valuable, how you ain't going to never do nothing, how you ain't going to be successful, how you can't be great, how you ain't no way you going to be extraordinary. And you let them psych you out. You buy into it. And then you start to act unextraordinary. You start to act not great and unsuccessful. You start sleeping in and eating whatever you want to eat and not exercising. Don't care about your diet. You start letting your relationships go down the drain. You don't call and check on people. You don't connect. You don't network. You don't do nothing you're supposed to do just because somebody or some job or some team or some program told you that you weren't good enough. But if you can be like Randy Moss, like, let the fact that they told you you weren't good enough make you say, oh, for real? You know what? Let me show you. In fact, don't let me show you in your organization. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to show you so that you really miss me. Right? Right? Because if I do it here, I help you out. If I do it here, I help you out. And you don't got to eat them words. But if I go over to New England and I help them win every single game this season and on average by a blowout, you going to be over there looking stupid. They going to be thinking about firing. Your boss going to be thinking about firing you because you was willing to let me go. Your boss going to fire you because my boss, let me go. Because you told me I wasn't good enough. And I had to show you better than you could tell me. Yeah, that is the catchphrase for this video. Show them better than they can tell you. There's going to be a lot of people that's going to tell you how whack you is. It's a lot of people told Kanye West that he wasn't going to be no rapper. Kanye West tells a story, I want to say is on his first album, about how he spit some bars for Jay-Z and was telling him he wanted to be a rapper. And he had one line that was cold, but the rest of it he said was whack. Nobody took him seriously. Nobody took him seriously till somebody else was trying to sign him. He said he got a deal offer for somebody else, and then Dame started saying, hold on, man. You got to keep it in the family. What you doing? Because he didn't let other people tell him how whack his music was, stop him from saying, nah, I'm a genius. Y'all just don't have genius ears. You feel me? Like, you can't let people tell you how good or bad you can or can't be. Like, take feedback. Let people tell you what they really perceive. But then you take that feedback and you don't go back to the drawing board and be like, oh man, I need to quit. You go back to the drawing board and be like, oh man, I need to figure out how to fix whatever it is that they feel like ain't working. I need to fix it so I can make them change their mind. Like, y'all notice the YouTube videos? They changing a lot. It's like every single video, I do something different. Why? Because I'm constantly going back to the drawing board. Why? Because I ain't finna let nobody tell me I can't be great at this thing. Ain't nobody finna tell me, if anybody's gonna tell me I can't be great at this thing, it's gonna be me. And that's gonna be after I try. After I try. Jonathan McReynolds said,
but I gotta try a little harder this time.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna try. And at least, you just gotta at least try. Randy Moss went out there and balled his tail out. Kanye West went out there and became, at one point, the biggest rapper in the world. And now, even still, he's one of the biggest artists in the world. Man's a billionaire now. He's richer than the guys who signed him. Like, you hear what I'm saying? He's richer than the guys who told him his music was whack and they didn't want to sign him. You feel me? That's my video. That's my video. That's my video. But I think I do want to challenge you guys. I want to challenge you. Here's the challenge. I just want you to think. Search your memories. Search, the deep recesses of your mind. And I want you to think about one thing that somebody's told you that you weren't good. Somebody told you, yo, this is whack. Yo, you probably should, do something else. Yo, don't give up your day job. Like, think of that one thing. Because for some of you, it's going to be starting a business. Like, you had an idea for a business. Somebody told you, nah, bro, that ain't it. You ain't going to make no money. You're going to work real hard for 10 years just to still be broke. Right? For some of you, it's being a doctor. Like, I know so many people. I know, just let's not even talk about medical school. Let's talk about pharmacy school. I know at least 4 or 5 people that were in my pharmacy school class who had either went to nursing school or were active nurses, who were in the middle of their nursing careers. It's like, I think I can make more bread in pharmacy. Let me go over here. Now, they to ask the average person be like, man, you already got a degree, you already working. Why waste 4 years and lose that earning potential just so you can possibly, maybe pass? Just so you can possibly make some more money. And they was like, nah, bro, this is this is a better way. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. You know what? Just sit back and watch. For some of y'all, it's gonna be something like that. For some of y'all, it's gonna be, content creation. Somebody told you, you ain't no creator. And you just got to show better than they can tell you. So I just want you guys to think about what that thing is. What that thing that you've been told that you weren't good at. And I want you to put it in the comments because I really want to see what some of these things are. But then I want you guys to maybe revisit it. Maybe reconsider. Ask yourself, you know what? I know what they said, but could this be my New England? Could this be my New England Patriots opportunity? That's it, guys. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like the video. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not going to hurt you. I don't think the button is going to electrocute you when you touch it. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel, guys. I'm dropping 5 videos a week. That's 1 every weekday. I do motivational, inspirational content with a pop culture twist, looking at things like movies, sports, anime, superheroes, cartoons, maybe even video games. You name it. I try to find the motivational aspect of it and then deliver it to you guys in a way that you can easily internalize it and then implement it into your life so that you can be successful and great. You guys want an extraordinary life? I want you to have one, and we're trying to talk our ways through it. Until next time, guys, peace.